Hi everybody, Jackson here. Welcome back to the weekly endeavours for the 3rd of March. We've got a 250 seal set, 215, sorry. Harvesting resources from the world, defeating patrolling horrors in the Imperial city districts, and then completing 6 Battleground matches. So we've got 2 PvP ones, and then a just the overland one. I think these two are not great options compared to this one here. So patrolling horrors, I think this is one of the worst endeavours in the game personally. Think of it this way, right? So think of a world boss. Think of a world boss in the middle of basically a gladiator's arena, and in that arena you're basically fighting the world boss, and you've also got other players from other factions that could just jump in and attack you at a moment's notice. Exciting? Definitely. Practical? No, not really. Trying to get 7 of these things done. There's 12 in total in a single Imperial City campaign. There's 4 to choose from, and the odds of these things being up very often, already not being killed by other people, is fucking slim. So trying to get this done is just a pain in the ass. I would not ever suggest trying to do this one. 6 Battleground matches, on the other hand, not too bad. Regardless of if you win or you lose these, you just got to complete 6. The issue is the queue time. It's not too bad, I would imagine, with the PvP event, but just in general, you're relying on other people to do this one. And sometimes this can take a while. Personally, I think you could do this one in about the time it takes for you to wait for one of these and complete it, I would say. Obviously, a little preparation required, but I think this one is just leagues in front of these 2 options as far as reliability goes. So you could either do Battleground matches, and just regardless of how they go, just do 6 of them. That'll give you your seals, but this is quite a lengthy process, and completely in the hands of other players. Like, if you just can't find enough people for a Battleground, you could just be waiting too long. Whereas this one here, it's actually better the less amount of players there are around. So yeah, I just prefer this one. So let me go through a couple of things that could make this one perhaps a little bit easier to follow, because there's some things you can do to really speed up how quickly you can find resources. So firstly, you want a speed build, something that hits the max speed cap on foot and on mount. I've gone into pretty extensive detail in this sort of stuff on a video. I'm going to link that in an info card now and in the description. It's a stage 4 Vampirism just speed build. Basically just roid the hell out of your movement speed, and while not sacrificing your damage too much. So yeah, I do suggest looking that up if you're not familiar with making runner builds for collecting stuff. The other thing is, with your champion points, there is something you're basically going to want to do to make this much quicker. So you're going to need a little bit of champion points to get this sort of thing, but if you have access to this, it's really important. So what I would do is, if you have basically nothing to use, please don't tell me. Oh, God damn, it takes everything out. So what I would do is put 10 in Breakful, 15 in Wanderer, 10 in Steadfast. You have to go 50 in Treasure Hunter, there's no other way. So in total that's it's what? 10, 20, 35, 85 so far. And then Master Gatherer. Put all of the rest of your points into this, and this is the only thing that really matters for this. Because this one here reduces the amount of time it takes for you to harvest a resource by half. So the amount of time basically you're going to be spending doing this endeavor is reduced by a significant amount. Not by half, because the amount of time it takes you to get to each resource is obviously affected, but it halves the amount of time it's going to take you to harvest all this stuff. So yeah, go away. So this one here, Master Gatherer, 75 points in this. You can put more points in this stuff if you want, but yeah, I just Master Gatherer is the only thing you absolutely want to ride out as quick as possible. Everything else is just bonus. Plentiful Harvest is really good for this because you get more stuff for harvesting everything. Gifted Rider as well, really good. I go into this detail for this stuff too in the Vampirism build, but Master Gatherer right now is the thing that you want. Alright, so in this case, there are a lot of zones you can go to collect resources, but if you can, use Craglawn, because Craglawn is a big zone, fully just stacked with, just dense with all sorts of resources. You can see here just the amount of blacksmithing ores, for example. But not only that, there is something you get from Craglawn. It's called Nerncrux. potent and fortified non-crocs. These two things, you can only get these from harvesting resources, like resource nodes in Craglawn. Only from the cloth, wood, ore, like blacksmithing ore and jewelry seam nodes, just those four. Everything else doesn't count. So, for example, if you harvested this runestone, for example, or these alchemy plants, wouldn't count. You wouldn't get anything from those no crux fires. You still get some good resources from them. And last of all, inventory space. You're going to need quite a bit of inventory space if you want to do this quickly. Sell a bunch of stuff, or just like have a mule where you put everything in the bank and just transfer it over to them, maybe. And what I usually do is, if you don't have ESO Plus, just hold on to that stuff until the free trial comes on. And usually I just put it in the craft bag whenever the free trials come on. Usually a couple of mules with like a bunch of inventory space will usually handle that sort of thing. Like maybe 2 or 3. Usually one for alchemy and enchanting, one for like blacksmithing, like all the main equipment materials, and then one for like star materials. Usually is what I do. But yeah, you do you in that case. That's too complicated maybe. All right, so let's start going through this. So just going to start collecting anything. So there are a couple of things that don't count that you just want to not worry about. Oh my god, fucking 2 kudos straight away. What are the odds? Now, any enemy like this, don't bother with them. Any of the materials that you gain from killing them is not doesn't count for resources from the world. I'll go through everything. So, smithing and jewelry, these count. Clothing counts. Wood counts. Rune and Psijic portals. Psijic portals don't, I believe. I haven't actually checked. They're so rare, I haven't been able to really test that theory. Mushrooms, herbs and flowers, water herbs, crimson nunroot, solvents count. I think giant clams count. Haven't tested that. Chests don't count. Heavy sacks don't count. Thieves' troves do not count. Justice containers. I don't even know what the fuck those are. I think those are... Oh yeah, they're the lock boxes. That's right. They don't count either. And hidden stashes. I haven't seen those in Craglawn, so... and obviously you don't need to use Craglawn, but this place is so good. You've got 100 other zones. If this is too crowded, especially in prime time, if you try and do this, it might be better to go to other zones. But you've got all of the Alliance zones. These are pretty good. You've got places like Rothgar, Western Skyrim, big zones like Westfield. These places are usually really good for getting resources, especially like the older DLC ones. I find these to have quite low traffic, especially in prime time. Especially in the opposite of prime time, like when everyone's asleep. They're just stacked full of resources. But I usually like Craglawn for, as I said before, the reason of the fortified gnome crux. So check the lakes. Like for example, this one here. You look at all these river nodes here. You've got the gnome crux. The nunroot. You've got the alchemy plants. You've got the pure water nodes as well. These areas are usually fucking stacked with stuff, and all of these things count for the endeavor. So just look through here. Got some water hyacinth. Doing fish doesn't count, and I wouldn't suggest it anyway because that will be way slower than any of this stuff here. We've got some ore, you got some nunroot. Got some pure water over here, grab that. I should note as well, something that can also help you if you're not familiar with the stuff you're trying to collect. Especially for things like alchemy, when, plants like this are probably not the most, what's the word? Like, they're not the most obvious thing to locate. In that case, you've got this thing here, Keen Eye. So when I get close to the alchemy nodes, you can see that it like lights them up like that. That's what Keen Eye does. So if you're really struggling to find stuff, Keen Eye can really help you out. But if you played this game a while, I would say rely on your instincts, because you'll be able to know what this stuff looks like from a distance once you're familiar with the game. You can also go to settings, video, and then turn grass to off, and that will also make it easy to locate stuff in the distance as well. So, but yeah, that's up to you. I'll just leave it on. Have you ever noticed, by the way, grass is actually 2D? So you can see it actually spins around with you. It's kind of funny. This is a 10-year-old game. You got to keep in mind. So It's probably common in games. I just don't realize it. But yeah, I just find that quite funny. All right, so just running through, collecting everything we can find. To keep things interesting, I'll try and like go through, I don't know, some commentary of all the different resources. So I should point out, if you can get a character who has maxed out crafts, like level 50 in clothing, level 50 in woodworking, in blacksmithing, in jewelry crafting, and you put all the points into getting the first passive as far as possible, metalworking, tailoring, these ones here, because these, once you get them to max, will give you the materials that they give you are like bright blood red. They're super easy to spot in pretty much any zone, as opposed to the other resources which tend to blend in with the colors of the environment. Alchemy plants, there's a reason I use Kenai, because some of these are really hard to spot. Like Lady Smock, if you're just coming through here not having played the game for the first, like, for much, you know, that might not be very obvious to you as well. So yeah, definitely alchemy plants I do turn Kenai on, but everything else usually is not too bad. I think I've got clothing and jewelry with Kenai on because a while back they were both super expensive to sell, so I was just going on a crazy looting rampage, just trying to get all that stuff. But nowadays they're not all that expensive, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so chests. So I will just show you quickly. So 23 out of 65, 23 out of 65. So that doesn't count for the Endeavor, unfortunately. So just, unless you're in a zone like Western Skyrim where it's worth going through the chests to check if they have like good sets, yeah, I wouldn't bother in any other case. Got Ancestor Silk here, blacksmithing ore. So I've got a Thieves Trove over here. I'll also show you that these don't work, just so you can be rest assured that you're not really missing out if you don't care about these. Right, so I've got the Thieves Trove, 26 out of 65, 26 out of 65. So yeah, just forget about those. So this is why I use Vampirism, by the way, for this reason. So if you get spotted by enemies, I mean, you can use Cloak too. Cloak's probably better anyway. But Vampirism just gives you the ability to escape from combat. It's not perfect, very finicky sometimes. You'll just get pulled out of stealth sometimes for no fucking reason. You just get light attacked. But yeah, usually it's pretty good. I will kill these guys because there's quite a few things here that I want to loot. So sometimes it is worth killing the enemies. But sometimes you want to be careful of other players coming in and fucking stealing all your shit. Because that's rare, but it does happen. So some people just don't give a shit. Alright, so this water skin, these also count, because they give you pure water. We've got the water nodes over here, pure water. Rivetite ore. So Rivetite ore's not that expensive. It's probably in between. Wood's the cheapest by far, rough wood. Rivetite ore is second, then it goes Ancestor Silk, and then Jewelry Seams are usually the most expensive. So I don't actually know between, it's 110, 160, okay, yeah. Jewelry Seams are still more expensive, or Jewelry Dust is still more expensive. But blacksmithing ores are noticeably cheaper than clothing materials. Violet Coperness, these are actually surprisingly expensive, these things. Nowhere near as expensive as they used to be. So if we go alchemy, yeah, 265. Wow, they're cheaper than Buglaw. No, they're not. Okay, never mind. Yeah, these are one of the more expensive ones. And they were like, when I came back to this game a couple of years back, like when I had a hiatus for like a year or two. But I came back, and everything was like super expensive to sell. Like Violet Coperness, they're worth, what were they, like 260 now. When I first came back, they were like 2,000 gold a piece. It was fucking insane. So yeah, I used to farm the shit out of these things too. I mean, compared to the rest of the alchemy agents now, they're still expensive in relation, but yeah, nowhere near as crazy as they used to be. Alright, these Wellwoods here. These are painful because they have a fucking lot of health. For a zone enemy, these things are ridiculously tanky. yeah, it's good to, if you're going to do Kraglorn, it's good to have a decent damage build, because everything here takes fucking ages to kill. Luminous Rossula. I usually suggest using these for doing alchemy leveling, because Rossula works with a couple of other really cheap ones. Pretty sure it works with either White Cap or Blue and Ptolema, one of those two. Or maybe one of the other ones. I'm not 100% certain on that. More Riverdidor. Columbine, hell yeah. So this is the #1 alchemy reagent you're always going to look out for. These are very expensive in relation to every other alchemy, like common alchemy agent in the game. 1,000 gold each. As soon as you see one of those, grab that shit and prioritize it, because they are expensive. Wormwood, I also use these quite a bit for doing alchemy leveling, because mix them with, I believe you mix them with spider eggs, and they make one of the like cheap options there. Some water hyacinth. These are very cheap, but they're a very common like alchemy agent used in some common potions. They're a staple in weapon critical potions and spell critical potions, which are something I think that they use even now in PvP in some builds, pretty sure. Blessed Thistle is also one that I use in alchemy leveling. I use them alongside Dragonthorn, because they those two together, they're both very cheap options, usually very common in large quantities on guild stores as well. Shouldn't really need to say much about pure water nodes. They give you the reagents which you make. Sorry, they give you the potion solvents to do alchemy leveling or general alchemy potions with. So if you got max level of that stuff, funnily enough, the Lorcan's Tears are like super cheap. I think the other ones, if you're not fully leveled in alchemy, are actually more expensive. Especially Cloud. What is it called? Oh yeah, we're all done. Sorry, Cloud Mist. Cloud Mist is expensive. Same with Lorcan's Tears. So yeah, you can. What did we go through? So we went from here, through here, went around this area here a bit, went through here, went over here, went through here. So that really didn't take a very long time. What's the video length? Yeah, 20 minutes. You're probably done 1 or 2 Battlegrounds by this point, I would say. So, yeah. I think this one's way quicker, personally. But obviously it depends on how fast your build is. Alright, so one more thing. Surveys. Each survey you get from doing crafting writs gives you 6 nodes. So, a bunch of these can get this done super quick, because you just go and collect your survey nodes. And the best thing about them is their instance. So what that means is someone else can come and grab these themselves, but because they're related to a thing that you own in your inventory, the ones that you have are not affected by other people claiming theirs. So it's a way to reliably get 6 nodes each time. You also got this thing here which you can collect. That'll be 7, I guess, but you get these from doing writs, right? So crafting writs, your regular blacksmithing, clothing, alchemy, enchanting writs, except for provisioning. That's the only one that doesn't give you surveys. Every other one gives you surveys, and they're all the same. They give you 6 nodes, and they give you more than what a node would normally would. And there's 2 caveats to this, though. Firstly, you don't get the housing materials from this stuff. This stuff here, you can't get any of these from nodes, from surveys. And there is a certain survey endeavor that comes up in dailies every now and then, and I suggest holding on to a couple if they're your last ones for these daily endeavors. And that's why I said before, I know I talk a lot about these, but there's a reason I recommend doing this. So hold on to a couple of surveys if they're your last ones, because if you don't have any surveys for your weekly, it is going to take you longer. But if you get a daily that is do the surveys, especially tomorrow if the other one ends up being 30 seals, and you don't have a survey to do those endeavors, you can't do them. And usually they're an easy option compared to some of the other shit that you can get from some of these dailies. So yeah, just keep a couple of spares on hand whenever you do writ, just to make sure you can do those endeavors when they come up. But if you've got tons to go through, just fucking go nuts, go through all of them. So yeah, definitely worth looking at. And if you want the add-on I use to show them on the map here, as you can see, there's an add-on called Lost Treasure you can get. Also great for whenever you do treasure maps as well. Lost Treasure, this one here. I'll post this one in the description too. Okay, so that's everything related to the weekly endeavor. I still think, even if you don't have like Master Harvester, I still think this one's more worth doing than Battleground matches. I just think it's just way faster, or maybe not way faster at all times, but definitely more reliable. So if you've got any questions about any of this stuff, I'm not a like super good PvPer when it comes to that stuff. I can't always give you good advice for that, but anything related to this one here, I can definitely give you good advice for that. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for your support as always. I'll see you all next time, and take care.
Yeah.